Hello there, and welcome to the Kingdom of Pinfall. It's me, Michelle, and this is episode 16, which is chapter 16. Please, if you somehow found your way here, you should really go back to the beginning and listen to episode 1. This chapter is kind of weird. I think it's relatively harmless. It contains some mischief. I don't know if mischief is the right word. Some mischief from a pig and a rabbit. And on that note, I want to talk briefly about Bray Wyatt. I had some pretty specific major plans for Bray Wyatt in this. And after the very long hiatus, when I returned to this wonderfully stupid project, I was kind of on the fence about what to do with those plans and if I should scrap them. I've decided to go ahead. We're just going to proceed as intended, and hopefully everyone will be happy. I'm going to make some minor changes. I'm going to make some changes to it. Because like I said in the last episode, I'm going to be kind of incorporating some current events that have happened in the wrestling into this and just slam it all together. Hopefully it'll be fun. Maybe. I don't know. That's it, I think. No, that's not it. You should go to the description and check the links there that are relevant. Just click the links. If you like this, then go look at the links for my stuff. And if you are listening to this on Spotify or another podcast platform and missed the memo, I'm also putting videos on YouTube with stuff to watch and, of course, captions for you caption people out there. I am a caption people, so I feel that. Let us proceed to Pinfall. Chapter 16. Abandon all hope. The New Day, Braun Strowman, Elias, and their newly acquired, though somewhat reluctant, allies, the Artist Collective, set their sights on the ring to the east, where they would rejoin the other heroes of SmackDown. They would also find the great warrior Roman Reigns and his bloodline there, who would surely join them for the coming WrestleMania. The journey would take several days. They would be crossing the entire width of Pinfall, walking from the western coast to the eastern. Luckily, Elias regaled them with song, they had unicorns, and Braun covered a lot of ground with his long strides being a storm giant. Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro climbed onto his back while he carried Sammy by the back of his shirt, not terribly unlike how a mother cat carries her kittens by the scruff of their neck. I have to pee, Sammy grumbles several hours into the journey. He has his arms crossed, still clutching the intercontinental belt of power to his chest. In all honesty, everyone expected him to say he had to pee sooner, and they were surprised he lasted so long. You can wait until we reach the village, or I'll dangle you over some bushes, little friend. Braun laughs loudly, throwing his head back and giving the man in his hand a wiggle. What if I have to shit, Braun? What then? Sammy screeches at him and kicks his legs in the air like he's running. Just go, and then I'll shake it out of the leg of your pants. Braun laughs again. Oh, God. Kofi is appalled. He grimaces and backs his unicorn farther away from Braun, who shakes Sammy up and down to demonstrate as Sammy screams. Braun then suggests, or squeeze your cheeks together and hold it until we reach the village. The road leading from the ruins of the Tower of Starcade is largely unused, becoming more and more overgrown as time passed and nature took it back. There is a small village with a hotel before another road splits off toward Smackville to the north. They plan to stop at the village to resupply, but then continue on their way until they reach the road to WrestleMania, which will then take them to the ring. Elias decides he will part ways with them then and travel north to spread the good word to other parts of SmackDown that the New Day are alive and well. He's still composing his magnificent Ballad of Hope, but he feels it's coming along nicely. He will be a beacon of light in this dark time and rally the people behind the new day and friends. Only Xavier has any qualms about them traveling on these main roads, but his qualms are minor and are drowned out by the rest of the group's eagerness to make good time to the ring by traveling via the relatively straight thoroughfare. Surely, such a large group can defend the single belt in their possession after all. Surely. What could go wrong? What could go wrong indeed? No one feels particularly uneasy when they don't encounter anyone on the road leading from Starcade. They are distracted by song, merriment, and companionship. Shinsuke Nakamura even dances to Elias's song, thrusting dramatically from where he is atop Braun's shoulder. They expect things to be a bit more lively as they approach the village, but things are not lively at all, they realize immediately. The only movement seems to be that of a lone pig roaming aimlessly in a nearby bean field on the outskirts of the village. It doesn't even notice them and continues rooting around as they all slow to a stop. Elias speaks up first and lets the last chord he strummed on his guitar fade away ominously. Wait a minute. I passed through here in my travels. Just this morning. Where did everyone go? They are still a good distance from the village gate, but they can all see that everything is still within. Quiet. Too quiet. There are no sounds. It's toward evening, but it shouldn't be this quiet, even in a small village. They don't see any lights on in any windows. It's as if everyone simply left. We should just go around, Sammy suggests, sounding nervous, not even shrieking as he dangles. No, we have to investigate, says Big E with determination. We have to see if something's wrong, says Kofi, agreeing. Something is obviously wrong, Sammy growls between his teeth. And we should go around. Wide berth, don't be heroes. But we are heroes, Xavier tells him. We have to see what happened here. No, Sammy insists. Braun, side with me, Braun. He tries to look up at the storm giant pleadingly, but mostly just succeeds at kicking his legs and swinging. What if there are people who need help? The big man asks him. Helping people is how you die, Sammy shrieks again. If you idiots are going in there, then put me down. Leave me here. I won't go anywhere, unless, of course, you all die, which you will. Shinsuke, Cesaro, tell them the heroes die horrible, awful, honorable deaths. Yes, Shinsuke agrees. Cesaro nods. Do you know anything about this? Xavier asks him, suspicious of how adamant he is about it. What? No! Why would I know anything about this village? I don't even know the name of this village. We've been at Starcade for days. We didn't even come this way. We came down the coast from Smackville. You know, I don't know the name of this village either. Big E mumbles a bit offhandedly, thinking aloud as he realizes it. They've stopped their progression completely and are all standing in the road looking at one another. Cesaro is the only one of them who seems completely apathetic. He's polishing the chrome of one of his arms. Elias swings his guitar around to his back and looks toward the village. He doesn't know the name of the village either, but he knows that he should. It's the last village before Starcade, and it's on the way to Smackville from the road to WrestleMania. He doesn't really want to get closer. He doesn't want to investigate. He feels uneasy. A whole village of people don't just vanish in a day unless something really weird and really bad is going on. A white rabbit hops across the road in front of them, and the sudden movement startles everyone. Kofi's unicorn bucks and lets out an alarmed whinny, frightened of the small animal. He calms his mount as best he can, and they all resume looking at one another in silence. The pig makes a low grunt and begins meandering toward them, its head down, leaving ruts in the dirt with its snout. It doesn't move with any sort of haste or aggression, but it's unsettling anyway in the rapidly growing darkness. That pig making anyone else uncomfortable? Xavier whispers. He doesn't know why he whispers. He doesn't want the pig to hear? No one answers. Kofi is watching the rabbit, which stands on its haunches and looks toward them from the side of the road, unblinking, but not in the panicked way that prey animals normally stare. It looks panicked all right, but its dark eyes are almost human. It has a knowing look, as if it fully understands what it's afraid of and isn't just acting on pure instinct. His unicorn is backing away from it, in spite of his efforts to keep it in place. He didn't know his unicorn was scared of small mammals. Or is it just this particular small mammal? The pig is getting closer. It grunts and is gorging itself on roots or something. Is it just eating dirt? No one knows about pigs. I don't like this, says Braun, and Sammy lets out a high-pitched whine, then closes his eyes and hugs his belt tighter to his chest. He sounds like he might be weeping. The rabbit keeps staring, and the unicorns all begin to huff anxiously, stamping their feet and trying to flee. I feel like maybe, if anyone is left in the village, that they are beyond our help. Elias struggles to say this, as his throat is so dry. He swallows hard and winces, because he's afraid it was too loud. What if the pig heard him swallow? He realizes this thought is madness, and he doesn't know why he thinks it. They're being watched and listened to. It's not too late to turn back, he then thinks. He's not sure if he's a hero or not. He's leaning toward not. That's what I was trying to tell you, Sammy says, then he lets out another whine that sounds a bit like a pained sob. Can you use the belt, little friend? Braun asks him and gives him a shake. Braun's voice sounds oddly small, especially coming from such a huge man. The magic? Can you read the pig's mind? See if anyone is in the village? That is the most ridiculous thing, Sammy starts to say, but he stops abruptly. He opens his eyes and then speaks as if it were his idea. I know! I can use the belt magic! I can read the pig's mind, or see if I can sense anyone in the village! The New Day all roll their eyes, but exchange a glance and say nothing. At least he's going to be useful. They can all pretend it was his idea if it encourages him to embrace being a hero. They don't notice that Elias is slowly moving away from them. Sammy scrunches his face, strains, and begins to turn red because he's holding his breath. He lets out a drawling groan noise. Kofi thinks he's trying to shit his pants and cringes again thinking about it, but then he realizes that Sammy doesn't know how to use the magic. He's trying hard, though. If only this were a situation where it were the thought that counts. Man's gonna give himself an aneurysm, Big E speaks quietly, concerned. Someone stop him. The pig has moved closer. It left a winding trail of crushed bush beans in its wake. Xavier squints in the fading sunlight and thinks he sees a pattern in the path. He can't make it out, though. He'd have to see it from above like a crop circle. He follows the trail back with his eyes, trying to see where the pig came from, but it abruptly stops, as if the pig materialized in the middle of the field. He looks slowly toward the rabbit and sees the bioluminescence of a firefly. The firefly bobs through the air toward the rabbit, its light winking out several times. The rabbit blinks just once, and one of its ears twitches when the firefly flits close by. The firefly's light goes out and he loses sight of it. Xavier opens his mouth to speak. He wants to tell everyone that they should just go. Wide berth, as Sammy said, but no words come out. The words are stuck, choking him, a huge lump in his throat. His tongue feels fat and heavy. Complete darkness is nearly upon them. He starts to turn his unicorn away from the village and hopes the others will follow. They can't be heroes here. There's no one to save. He slowly pulls out Francesca, not wanting to make any sudden movements, but he wants to be ready to protect his friends, protect the artist collective, protect the belt, because they are all that's here. If he can do it. He doesn't feel like he can. All of the hope and joy is drained from him the longer he remains. Big E begins to follow, but he doesn't turn his unicorn. He tries to back the animal away. He keeps his eyes on the rabbit and the pig. The pig hasn't looked up, but it's still coming toward them at a slow but steady pace. It's a very big pig, pink and dirty, extremely fat and well-fed. The field is no longer full of lush bean bushes, though. Everything is withered and dead. It's full of weeds. Big E is confused, and he looks toward the rabbit. It's missing large patches of hair. Its skin looks scabby and diseased. "Help," Sammy gasps. Initially, everyone thinks Sammy is the one asking for help, but he looks confused by his own utterance. His bottom lip quivers and he stares toward the dark eastern horizon. His knuckles are white as he holds the belt of power. "Help," he repeats desperately. The pig changes course and moves slowly and deliberately toward the rabbit, not even toward Sammy. The rabbit's nose twitches a bit. Nothing else moves, doesn't blink. There is no wind, only stillness. The unicorns all stop in their tracks. Their tails do not even twitch to swat away flies. There are no flies. There is nothing but the encroaching darkness. "I thought you said you came through here and there were people." Cesaro finally says something, and he says it so monotonously that he sounds bored. He doesn't whisper as he looks down at Elias. "How can that be? Look at this place." "I did," Elias insists. "I stopped here, and they were all talking about how the New Day had been killed. I swear," he says, but without any conviction because he is doubting his own memory. He looks again toward the village and sees that the buildings are completely dilapidated. It isn't just quiet. The village is a long-abandoned ghost town destroyed by fire. What remains of the structures is jutting up like crooked, broken teeth, charred and black. Elias gasps and his chest tightens in horror as his eyes land on a desiccated corpse hanging from a tree. He recognizes the clothes as those of a man he spoke to, though they are tattered by exposure to the elements. He lets out a brief scream and scrambles backwards clumsily, tripping over his own feet, bumping into Braun's leg, then turning and beginning to run at a full sprint back in the direction they had come. "Elias, we should stay together," Kofi calls after him, but he doesn't respond and just keeps running. Braun's eyes have narrowed, and he begins to lower Sammy to the ground. Shinsuke appears perplexed, but Cesaro doesn't seem to notice. "What are you doing, Braun?" Xavier questions him. "Help," Sammy sputters, his bottom lip trembling again. Then he says louder, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Help!" It seems to shake the very earth, and it echoes in a way that makes no sense because they are out in the open. And then there are fireflies. There are hundreds of fireflies in the trees and hovering over the ruined fields in the village. The rabbit vanishes into the grass and the pig looks up, turns its head to face them, masticating the entire time, slowly and deliberately, just as it had moved. Braun freezes and tightens his grip on Sammy, seeming to regain his senses that were momentarily lost. He shakes his head, trying to clear his mind. He speaks deeply, almost angrily, looking at the pig. "It's you." The pig stops chewing and stares at him with human-like understanding. Its face twists into a sinister grin that doesn't make any sense on a pig's face, and it oinks just once, then turns heel and runs for the remains of the village, kicking up dust under its hooves. It vanishes amid the shadows, which are growing longer and darker as the sun dips farther down in the sky. Elias lets out a blood-curdling cry, causing everyone to look in the direction he'd gone, except Braun, who is staring in the direction the pig went. No one sees Elias anymore, but his scream had sounded close. He hadn't gotten that far back down the road. "Run!" Braun growls, and it doesn't sound like his voice. His head hangs and his hand opens. He drops Sammy carelessly to the ground, and the unicorns begin bucking and letting out frightened whickers and screams. Cesaro and Shinsuke scramble from the giant's shoulders, and a strong wind howls around them. The air feels heavy and suffocating. It's hot. The New Day all have the same thought at the same time. Their unicorns are terrified and trying to throw them, but they force them toward the Artist Collective. Kofi extends a hand to Sammy, who is shaken from his fall, but hasn't let go of the belt. He reaches out and takes it, his face pale and filled with horror. His eyes are wide. Kofi is able to pull him up, and he struggles into the saddle behind him. They miraculously manage to stay atop the panicking animal. Big E gets Shinsuke, and Cesaro jumps up behind Xavier without any prompting, though he doesn't seem particularly bothered by the developments. They run. They aren't sure which way they run in the darkness, but they run from that village and away from Braun and the storm forming. They run from the fireflies. Lightning strikes behind them and they press on. They have no trouble getting their unicorns to flee from whatever is happening. Back at the village, Braun begins to move forward, toward the remains of homes and dilapidated businesses. The wind whips around him, and the black clouds stop the stars from dotting the sky above him as the last sliver of the sun dips below the horizon. Instead of stars, there are so many fireflies. "Abandon all hope, ye who exit here," reads a sign that is mysteriously intact among the burnt rubble. The sign looks as if it were scrawled by a child. The word exit is underlined, and the R in here is backwards. Braun stops and looks at it briefly, then he steps over it and into the town. He sees movement and catches a glimpse of the pig. "Come here, brother," says a voice that is both familiar and unfamiliar. The village is also familiar and unfamiliar. He remembers the village as it had been. He remembers the market and the people. He remembers the man who was strung up from the tree by the road. How long ago had the village been destroyed? What had happened here? "You know what happened here," says the voice, and Braun then knows it's the pig. "Huskus," Braun says as he steps farther into the village. Huskus oinks and laughs. Darting between two ruined buildings, he begins chanting, "Black sheep, black sheep, black sheep." Then Braun remembers. "We have to go back," Kofi yells over the clatter of hooves. "We can't," Sammy says loudly. He doesn't shriek like he tends to do. He speaks with conviction, but it isn't a command. It's a statement. They can't go back. It isn't possible to go back, and he's telling them this. He knows. "But Elias and Braun," Big E says, though he does not slow or turn his unicorn at all. They finally lost sight of the fireflies. He's afraid to even look behind him. "They're gone," Sammy says softly. "They're gone." Xavier asks him, "Gone where?" "Just gone." Sammy doesn't sound like himself. He sounds sad and broken, completely downtrodden by whatever he saw and felt when he used the belt magic. "Braun destroyed that village." "How? When?" Kofi doesn't believe him. "We would know about that. We would have heard. You can't just destroy a village." "The Titan made everyone forget. Titan has made us forget so much," he says eerily. And they all continue to ride in that unknown direction as night completely settles. Perhaps they are going south, perhaps not. The land seems to stretch on forever before them in the darkness, but at least there are no fireflies. Thank you very much. That is the end of this riveting chapter. I hope you liked it. And the horror mischief? I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I'm not 100% sure what the next chapter is. I think we need to hop back to the ring and check on the situation there. Like I said last episode, I'm not going to have a schedule for these chapters, and we'll see. Fast and loose. Makes it exciting, right? Unpredictable! Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe, so on and so forth. Have a wonderful rest of your day.